तो अब स्टार्ट करा दो संजय, अनिरुद्ध।
स्टार्ट करा दें या अभी 4-5 मिनट वेट करना है? 4-5 मिनट और है अभी।
अभी 6 मिनट है यार. We have to start at 7:30 only.
Yeah.
But not a minute later. Yeah, correct.
Correct.
तो सुधीर, बरसात कैसी हो रही है बॉम्बे में? कपूर साहब सुन रहे हैं कि नहीं सुन रहे हैं?
Subodh has joined. Sudhir has. Oh, there he is. I can see Sudhir. Yeah, okay.
सुधीर है ना?
सुधीर is there.
सुबोध भी है, उसका वीडियो बंद है सुबोध का.
और संजीव का भी.
संजीव.
I think people are saving on the bandwidth.
No, I think that's true. People are saving the bandwidth. Even I did that. बचा के रखी है बात के लिए.
कपूर पूछ रहे हैं how is the weather, सुधीर?
The weather is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good weather.
यहाँ तो वही आता है यार.
अच्छा.
बॉम्बे में रेन शुरू हो गई ना?
Yeah, it's nice and cold, pleasant weather,
संदीप नमस्ते.
The clouds around.
Same here.
Has Subodh come on?
Subodh
is there. His video is off.
Yeah, his video is
Okay.
off.
And Sanjeev Mehta's video is off, which is a good thing in a way. Okay, hi sir. Hi Sandeep. I made the same investment that you did.
Okay.
In fact, the same model. ऐसे तुमने research करी होगी तो मैं भी ले लिया. उसके बाद मैंने देखा कि made in China है.
What is not made in China?
You for one.
My daughter got a dog. So I was just telling her that everything is made in China, including your dog, the Chinese breed.
Right. I think we should be at 7:30 now, and we know 3 minutes more. All right.
Hi Sandy, how are you?
Good. Yeah, just getting by.
क्या कर रहे हो आजकल? घर पे हो?
घर पे हैं, golf खेलते हैं.
What time do you go?
Generally in the afternoons. This morning I played at 9:30. But generally it's after lunch. 12:31.
Okay.
Bloody hell.
Hey, it's very hot at 9:30 ulta yaar. It's better to go at 1:30. At least when you finish off, it's nice and cool. You tee off at 9:30, then you're just suffering in the heat all the time.
Yeah.
Do you play 9 holes or 18?
18.
Football. That's like, a lot of fun.
Otherwise, he would be ending up. You would be closing off in the heat too. So obviously, he's playing 18. Yeah. So here we go. I think what we could do is that till everybody joins, Anirudh, maybe you could have a small introduction of Nitra, and then we can carry on after that.
Right.
I'm just going to put myself on mute.
I'm also going on mute, guys.
Okay.
Same here.
All right. So let's all welcome Netra. She has been a colleague of mine, and I've known her for last, I think, 25 years, if not more. And she is working with Quick Heal, leading the engineering team out there. I think she can introduce herself and take over. I think it's almost time anyways. So I'll just hand it over to her and I'll go on mute.
Sure. Thank you, Anirudh, and very good evening to all. Very happy to be here. Of course, just wanted to let everybody know that this is going to be a very lightweight session, not a very heavy duty techie stuff. So, we'll see, how it goes along. I'm very happy to answer any questions after the session. Just to give a quick background, I have been in the cybersecurity space now almost 20 plus years. As Anirudh mentioned, the journey started when we were working together in Frontier Technologies Corporation in 1997, when we started working on digital signatures and encryption space. I still remember, I guess, around 97 or 98 when Bill Clinton signed the law that digital signature has the same value as human signature legally. So he used basically our software to sign digitally while passing the law. So really journey started there. And as all of you can imagine, in general, cyber security is a very vast space. And it really covers, very different aspects, both from retail and enterprise perspective. So the journey started from encryption, digital signature, and eventually I landed up onto malware side. So I was handling enterprise product portfolio in Symantec, Norton, as many of you might be knowing. And then, 3 years back, I joined Quick Heal as the engineering head for both retail and enterprise portfolio. So that's been my familiarity with the space so far. And when basically all this COVID situation started, what I understood that, suddenly the digitization and the involvement of the digitization in common man's life drastically increased. Of course, all of us are aware that since 7-8 years we have seen in the past that suddenly now, very common people also have started doing a lot of online transaction, high value transaction through the digital medium. And in general, adoption of the social networking and, the digital world itself in the common man's life is now very popular. But what I thought that, and especially when I'm interacting with friends, families, informally, there is one thought that maybe while doing this, people are not aware in terms of what all threats can be there, when they are out there. And if, slight awareness is there with all of us, I think we will be much more confident while, being in the digital world. So I typically give a very, analogical example that right from our childhood, people have told that whenever we are going to crowded places, we need to be really aware of, our valuables. Maybe, our purse or chain snatching type of incidents might happen in the crowded place. Now that awareness definitely brings us a lot of focus when we go to places like that. Definitely, by no means, nobody avoids the crowded places because it's just not possible. But like I said, that knowing what can happen, we are better prepared, to deal with it. So this presentation, like I said in the beginning, is really just an endeavor to let everybody know, all of us, that what type of threats might be possible when we are doing these transactions or surfing for that matter. And if this awareness can help, I think that will be the success of this presentation. So moving ahead, like I said, in general, I think, if say 5-6 years, why even 5-6, 2-3 years back, if I would have asked, a common person that do you feel there are threats, when you are doing the high value transaction, typically the answer was no, and that's mostly because of the ignorance. But especially, in Maharashtra, the cooperative bank Cosmos got hacked, and people's money were on the stake, and that really, gave that feeling that now it's no more a sci-fi movie or things which can happen abroad, but this is something which has come to our doorstep, and we really need to be aware of it. So, like I said, just to create, awareness, a simple quiz for everyone. So these are some very typical things what people do on the net, right? I mean, I think this is something which we should ask ourselves, that if I like to play games on the internet, and not only us, obviously the younger children or whoever in the family, or I personally believe that, whatever information is out there on the net is authentic. Do I surf? Do I download movies, music, or, do the map searching? So if any of the question, the answer is yes, then definitely there is a risk involved. So when I'm talking about risk, what I really mean, and these are some of the common terms I'm sure many of you must have heard. Again, I'm not going to go in detail because that might become too heavy. But to name a few, for example, virus, all of us know it's a malware or malicious program which can destruct your operating system or the devices on which you are operating on. Ransomware, again, nowadays, unfortunately, it is a lot in talks, both for common man especially, as well as big enterprises. So I'll talk about a few of these threats which are relevant to us, when we are dealing daily our transactions. And as I said here, the list really goes on, and that's really the reality of this world. That the threat landscape, the types of attacks, what will get attacked, how the attack will happen, is literally changing daily, if I say so. And while we are basically looking at different types of threats and attacks, a very common question comes to mind. That first and foremost, suddenly how we are hearing so much, and how all these things started. So to give a very quick background, when the first computers were started getting used by common people, the viruses started more like a mischievous act or a prank, where I wrote a program which is kind of destructing or creating problems. So it started more as a fun activity, and as the digitization increased along the globe, the medium started getting used for more and more financial transactions or for more serious businesses. The threat landscape also evolved a lot, and unfortunately, at this moment of time, we are at a stage where it's really a huge business by itself. And these are some of the, I will say, motives, why people are creating malwares, and what is the aim basically in order to do that. So the first and foremost is obviously personal benefit, that if I infect your machine, I might get something which is a high value for me. Political interest is another angle, because as you all are aware that in COVID situation also we were getting a lot of suggestions by the state governments that don't post anything for COVID on WhatsApp, for example. And why is that so? Because again, the power of the medium is so much that any small comment can really create a lot of distrust in the society. So political interest, like I said, is one of the big, again, reason why the malwares or attacks get created. Defense strategy is another very important one. I think especially this group, I don't think I have to say this, but I think moving ahead, unfortunately, what we will see more and more, if at all war happens, those are not going to be traditional wars, right? Like, people on the ground fighting with each other and or in the air. Things are going to be more like bio war or cyber war. And every day also, I mean, we don't have to call it as war, but every day also basically attacks happen on the very, very crucial organizations in the country, I will say, critical assets of the country. So defense strategy is definitely one of the big, again, I will say, motive behind creating the malware. And the additional and the first and foremost is the financial benefit, because ultimately when I do something, definitely as an attacker, I need to get something in return. So this is a very, I will say, a generic background why the industry has become, unfortunately, as big as it is right now. And while we know that now all this is really so serious, though again a common man like us may not realize it, but okay, we understand that these are malwares, why it is created, but then what is it for me? What is it the focus which I should keep while doing the surfing or whatever I want to do on the net, and use the power to the fullest without getting myself attacked. So these are some of the areas which I want to highlight. The first and foremost, what needs to be protected is obviously starts with the machine or a device which we use, right? And may it be your laptop, desktop, tabs, or mobile. So this is again a very, I will say, common misconception till today, that people are very serious about what is there on their laptops or desktops at home. But if you typically keep asking people that whether you have any sensitive information of your mobile, the first answer or the instant is no. And again, that's because we don't realize that even in today's age, what mobile is getting used for, it's almost like a parallel laptop usage, right? We do net banking or other high value transactions. Gone those days where we used to do a copy of documents. Now everything is online. So we click the photograph, we send it, may it be the Aadhaar card, may it be PAN card. And all these photos basically stay on our mobiles. And these are all very personal and sensitive information for all of us. And that's where I'm saying that machine doesn't mean only laptop, but all the basically devices which you are using to connect to the internet. And the typical threats, as we had seen the names earlier, can affect is like I said, virus or Trojans. Trojans is a form where it can actually connect computer to computer without any manual intervention. So for example, my machine is infected, and if I try to share some file with another person, then that can basically transfer infection from my machine to other. The next important aspect is information. So as I was talking about that we do have a lot of sensitive information with us, and this is something which is attractive again, from malware creators. So you must have now heard about ransomware in newspapers or in media. So this is the type of attack where, as a common person or even as an enterprise, the users are eluded to either click on link in the email or link in the WhatsApp message, which is a malicious link, and it internally basically downloads ransomware, which now encrypts all the information on your device, and then they ask the money to recover that information. So we'll see basically some of the tips, for these type of attacks. But like I said that, again, the misconception here was that, okay, these type of attacks typically only will happen on the very high value enterprises. But we do see that even the common retail users are also getting, because again, once they basically throw this campaign out in the on the net, where it affects, they don't have any control of, and ultimately they are looking for money. In fact, just to give you one example, maybe some of you must have heard Maids ransomware, which has been very recently in talks. So the nature of the ransomware, now they have increased the level. So far, basically, ransomware used to only encrypt the information on the same device, and in order to decrypt that device or recover that information, they used to ask money. Now this new age ransomware, what it is doing, that before encrypting, they take the backup of the data and they send it to a public server. And so not only the data is encrypted for you, but unfortunately data is available with the attackers as well, that if you do not basically pay the attackers, mostly from the enterprise perspective I'm talking about, that information can be thrown in open. And we have seen that especially in COVID situation, where the pharmaceutical companies or the health research organizations, these are now typically under attack, or the corporate banks for that matter. So in fact, we are seeing the very heavy attacks happening on the corporate banks, where the email is getting sent and it is shown that it is giving the COVID-19 guidelines coming from a very reputed nationalized bank or RBI, and the link is really malicious. So these type of basically email campaigns, which ultimately, if people are not aware or if they don't have right mechanisms to deal with, get into attack. The third aspect is identity and privacy. Again, in my observation, when basically we are dealing with our day-to-day things, right? Typically, people are very cautious in terms of where they are going, how they are perceived, or the places they are visiting, etc. But suddenly when people are on the digital platforms, I think that mindfulness just drops it, and we really do not pay a lot of attention in terms of what is my net footprint, what am I doing, and whatever information, how much ever informal it might be, but can it get used in, unfortunately, in a different form. And that is where identity or privacy aspects in general are very, very important, and we need to be mindful whenever we are dealing on any of the digital platforms. And in general, the other aspect is, as Indians, we are very trustworthy society. Our own, I think, the base is trust. Whereas abroad or in foreign countries, basically the concept of privacy, even in the regular life, is very, very strong. And that is where I guess we people need to really concentrate in terms of understanding whom am I dealing with, what information I am sharing on this platform. And some of the common, again, attacks which can happen, first obviously is the social engineering, and the most popular in that is phishing. Again, the word definitely, I'm sure all of you must have basically looked at it whenever your bank basically sending time to time communication, like not to share OTP or not to basically click on the links because the sites can be phishing. So as the name suggests, what phishing sites really mean that they are very look-alike copy of some genuine sites where the person is, supposed to do the high value transaction. Let's take an example like net banking. So they basically do a very minor change, which typically not possible because again, I mean, we do not know by heart, what all things are on my bank side where the logos are appearing. What we really know is the general look and feel. And these people are so clever that they do such a small change which is not noticeable. So if you unfortunately open the site like this, you might feel that you are dealing with your genuine bank. So you will give away your credentials, username, password. Because it's a malicious site, it will not go to the bank, but it will go to attacker site. And now that they have the credentials, they can use that credential to get the money from the net banking account. So again, the links typically will come from emails. Emails is a very strong source of getting this type of infection. So analogical example, if you can think about that, say for example, branded things, right? Those are bags considered very high value, high priced bags. And the common man may not be able to afford it. So typically what happens that, people create a cheap copy by creating, some small spelling changes in the brand name, and they sell it on a very throwaway price. Unfortunately, that's benign, and what only it can affect is the quality. Here, it's like I said, it's much more serious. Another attack or I will say threat from identity privacy perspective is the camera spoofing. So what happens that, with some mechanism, you have the malicious software on your laptop, or for that matter, nowadays, even smart TV, considering, they are now basically prepared to have, newer apps or something. And even though you intentionally are not turning the camera, but the camera is on. So somewhere basically, people will be able to spy around or spoof. So that's really the camera spoofing attack. And the third is photo morphing. So again, whenever basically we are sharing our pictures online, we really need to be aware in terms of whom I'm sharing it, what platform I'm sharing with, and what type of pictures I'm sharing with. Because ultimately, when it is there in the public, those photos can be morphed and used for purposes which we didn't intend to. So these are, I will say, the aspects, for which we should be aware while dealing socially on the net. And now I'll go on a very small do's and don'ts, for either laptop or social media, where now that we have awareness that such kind of thing can happen, what are those small tips, if we can use it, it can really go a long way in terms of securing ourselves. So let's say the first is smartphone. Like we discussed, nowadays everything happens on the phone for us. For sure, I think using a smartphone, we need to be very aware that first and foremost, we need to be away from free apps. Again, it might sound very drastic, but really you need to know that whatever the app is getting downloaded, whether it is malicious or not. And the other aspect of what we really need to be focused about is the Wi-Fi, especially the public Wi-Fi which are not secure. So what is the threat there, that because those are not secure, whatever transactions, whatever basically sites you are accessing from your mobile, anybody, the hacker or something on the line can see what information is getting exchanged. And again, if it is something like net banking, then that information can be used for some wrong purposes. Another aspect is when we are installing the app, it is very necessary to have the focus on the permissions which the app is asking. And after this, if you really start looking at it, what you will find that the purpose of the app is completely different, and it is asking information, something to like I said, that access to your camera or access to your contacts, which has nothing to do with the original purpose of the application. So I guess first and foremost, downloading the app from the genuine stores like Google Store, that helps because they themselves have a lot of security mechanisms before anybody can upload the app there. But I mean, after even that precaution, we really need to be mindful in terms of what this app I'm installing for and what type of information or permissions the app is asking. The next one is disable location. Again, I guess whoever basically has the location on, and many people by default have the location on. You must have observed, small suggestions from say Google, that if you are out on the road in some area, suddenly you will get a suggestion saying that so and so theater is nearby, and the movie is playing, or so and so restaurant is nearby where you can go. Now all this thing is very, again, like I said, very benign. But the fact that somebody can trace your location and very pinpointedly tell you what you are doing and where you are doing is not something really, all of us should be comfortable for. I mean, analogically, if we, imagine that we are on the road and some person actually walking with us and, looking at us, he's not doing anything, but just looking at us and, trying to see where we are going. I mean, that sounds very creepy, right? But like I said, somehow this awareness or this mindfulness is not there when we are dealing on the digital media. So I think disabling location, like I said, helps a lot because that really cuts the basic input in terms of anybody, if at all, tracking with malicious intent. Definitely, whenever you are on the road and you want to basically find a location, you want to do the GPS on, or you are using Uber and Ola, I think those are very legitimate usage. All of us are aware of that. So, having the location enabled at that time is perfectly fine, but definitely not needed when, whatever we are doing doesn't need the location to be on. I think the next instruction what I have given is really not only for mobile. In general, as I have been given examples, we have to be very mindful in terms of clicking the links, may it be coming from email or WhatsApp. Because again, once you basically you click, what the response will be, and the response might be just small textual thing visually, but indirectly it can download some malwares or some type of ransomware software on your listing, and that is where we have to be very, very careful while clicking the link. Like I said, may it be from email or WhatsApp. I think responsibly sharing the captures on the social media goes long way anyway. Suggestion is, to pin lock the phone rather than patterns, because again, the patterns are still finite. And pin is something which will be difficult to crack. It should be something like difficult to crack. This is mostly because, unfortunately, if you lose the phone, and like I said, our phone do have sensitive information, even though we don't realize it, it will make that much more difficult for somebody who gets the hold of that phone. And at least that information will be preserved for that matter. Again, I think password is something I won't even explain. I think that, I mean, especially for this forum, it is very obvious. In general, I guess we should have a small type of formula or something where we will be able to construct the password ourselves instead of need of storing it anywhere. I mean, this is nothing to do with mobile and or laptop. In general, storing of the password is no. And the last instruction is, again, not many people are using it, again, because of understanding that their phone is not something which needs protection, is use the licensed antivirus. Because it's very easy, for me to say that don't download free apps or don't click on the links because those might be malicious. But believe me, I mean, ultimately this medium is something which we want to use, for our ease of business, even in our everyday life. And just sometimes looking at the links, it will not let you know whether it is malicious or not. So companies like us, basically, we invest a lot daily and year after year, understanding what type of threat vectors are coming, especially the situational ones. I'll give you an example that in COVID situation, you must have heard our Prime Minister talking about Arogya Setu app, which will give us the sensitiveness about COVID around us. And we have seen that there are so many copies of this app, even on the Google Store, which are nothing but adware. Now, what adware really means is, they have maintained the original functionality, but they have added ads in the app. So whenever you will use that copy of the app, you will start seeing some ads. And that ad basically will enable the creators of this app from the monetization perspective. So thankfully, I mean, no copy so far has been found malicious. But look at the, how should I put it in a very common language, transparent, right? I mean, they have the situation, and people are using it to the fullest, even from the monetization perspective. So, like I said, that these type of things happen so much situational. I mean, especially when say we are around Diwali or any big festival coming our way, and you will suddenly find lot of such type of attack campaigns getting rolled out. So, as a common person or even as an enterprise for that matter, it's really just not possible to look at the things and feel that okay, this thing doesn't seem to be right. And that's where these license softwares basically will help you a lot, because what I was saying that this daily research basically, the list of, for example, fake apps or malicious apps get basically sent to all the customers daily after the research happens, and that really helps you protect. Or if you are connected to Wi-Fi, again the Wi-Fi seems to be protected, or you had to give some password. But whether it is actually being secured from all angles or something, this type of software will be able to guide you. Moving next, for laptop and computer, again, the first and foremost is using the licensed and updated antivirus. Very important, because sometimes what happens that, the virus software is, I mean, antivirus software is there, but the definitions or the updates which the company sends are not basically updated because of various reasons. So we will, I mean, we really need to see that, the software is there again, because phishing type of emails and everything, it's very hard for any common person to identify with. Typically, we should avoid using torrents, as you know, and definitely your kids must be knowing very well. So torrent sites are typically which are heavily used to share the media or games for that matter, right? And why we should be avoiding is, this is something where it is not coming from one server. The software is not coming from one server, right? It is coming from person A to B, B to C, and that's what we typically call as peer-to-peer. So that basically multifold increase the um, situation where you can be infected, because in the chain some of the users were infected, and that's how the infection started basically getting into gaming software, and that software ultimately came to you through torrent sites. I think going ahead, it's, I will say, a good practice to Google yourself once in a while, just to see the footprint, what your footprint is, network footprint is. And like I said that, I mean, again, if it is a kind of a targeted attack or a high value person attack, at least the know-how will be there. Going ahead, I think installing pirated software, I think for this group, I don't have to really explain, because typically the crack software, pirated software will always and always have some sort of malware, which obviously will not be visible, but internally it might do a lot of damage in terms of maybe the sending the sensitive information out, or like I said, really understanding your username, passwords, and then internally using it for the malicious purpose. The next one I will slightly talk in detail is about the operating system, keeping it up to date. Again, all of us, I guess, when we bought our laptop, right, it came with the licensed software. Predominantly, I will talk about Windows for that matter. But what typically I have seen that Windows give you option to update the software, and these updates sometimes might take time and bandwidth. And because of not having that awareness that what really these updates for, many people choose not to update the software. So it's like you have home, but there has been some problem in your door or something. Somebody's trying to fix it, but because you are not aware, you are not allowing Windows to have those updates, and that really becomes then the problem going ahead. If some malicious program uses that. So having those your operating system updated is very, very crucial. And it's not only related to operating system, it's related to your other applications as well. For example, all of us have Adobe Acrobat, or some our software might be using Java, if you have heard, as a mechanism to run the programs. Now, all these companies are very serious in terms of having the issues fixed in their own software, and that's where they keep on sending the updates. And I guess as a users, I think it will be extremely important for us to have that awareness to get those updates done. So like I said, the simple analogy will be that you have, security at your building, then you have a very nice door security, latches, everything. And if you are on the ground floor, the window is broken. That's really the gap. What I'm trying to tell you that, might get used again for any type of theft. In the software world or in the security world, we call it as vulnerability. And typically, when these applications send the updates, they might be fixing not only just the functional problems of the software, but some of the vulnerabilities which has been detected, which internally will help that even though the malicious software lands up on your machine, the software may not be able to do a lot of damage. And last but not the least, for sure, when we are on the social media out there, I guess definitely, like I said, what we are sharing and to whom we are sharing is very important. So the typical thing is, use the dummy names for your profile. At the same time, we need to be aware that maybe, we are, especially I will say the younger generation, whenever, they are getting into this random chatting or something, they really need to be aware that whom they are talking to and whatever the identity is presented from the other side may not be the real one. So I guess, especially on the social side, accepting the friend request from stranger is something definitely needs to be avoided. It may not be benign, because again, the identity is completely, which ideally should be, I will say, morphed when you're dealing with the other party. Again, if having a very, malicious intent in terms of some sort of terrorist group or something. So from that angle also, it's very, very important to, have this discipline when we are dealing with them. Again, if you are dealing with somebody anonymous, like you don't know on the first name basis, please try not to share any of your personal information or any of the images or media contents, basically. One important is all the social media sites, basically they have these options which typically are under settings and slightly hidden, but with the tag as privacy settings. And it is very important that whenever we are going on any of the social media sites, first and foremost, to understand what is their privacy social networking policy. It's really important nowadays to read that, at least to be aware that the minute you join that site or start using that site, you are implicitly giving consent. And then, if any information which you are sharing on the site is getting used, there is very least you can do, because implicitly you have, send a consent before using the site. So reading the privacy policy is something which I will say goes long way. And additionally, I think going to these settings and slightly exploring, because these settings again are very easy to configure, but what they give you a huge control in terms of, for example, you are on a social media site, so who can search you? Who can see your media file? Now, all these things again are very important, and this is something you as a user have control to configure. Most of the time, because of not knowing that these type of controls are available, people do not use these controls. So I will definitely suggest that after this session, definitely make sure that those controls are rightly set for any of the social media sites we are using, because that itself basically will provide a lot of protection. So these are some of the I will say tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you, and I hope that with this awareness, all of us will be safe and secure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Netra. That was a great presentation. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it and hopefully learned something useful out of it. So are you ready for some questions?
Aniruddha, your voice is very chopping.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No.
No, not yet.
So what Aniruddha is asking is, are you ready for some questions? The first thing, of course, you said was there was a very interesting presentation, and I second that. It was phenomenally interesting and I think very, very practical. And I think there would be some questions that we would have. So can we start asking those?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'll kick off on this. when you talk about, we'll start with the viruses and we'll come to ransomware and all later. On the viruses, typically in a month or over a year, how many new viruses do you detect? Just a number, just for us to understand.
You're in, she's on mute.
Sorry. Thousands and thousands. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have that direct number, but
No.
there are so many variants, even for the viruses, which, for example, we have seen in the past. But small tweaks basically keep on coming. Those are the variants of the disease. So actually, these are like thousands and thousands.
So 10 to the power of 6 kind of thing, 10 to the power of 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you start handling these viruses and this ever-growing tribe, so when you do these scanning algorithms and all, one would love to know how you build those algorithms.
That's a great secret. But I'll tell you the process, okay?
Yeah.
So like I said that typically we have these samples gathered from the wild. Again, it can be gathered from abandoned email accounts, because typically, these are the some of the locations where you might get, and there are different ways basically to gather these samples. So by using artificial intelligence and machine learning, considering the volumes are so big, these basically samples are in general categorized to understand, what are the clean files and what are the malicious files. And then basically the pattern is searched to understand that, okay, this is how I can have a signature of the virus, because ultimately what needs to happen that if the file comes to you, that same virus can infect, say, document file, and same virus can infect any other type of file. So what really we want to basically search is the signature or a pattern which will uniquely tell me that, okay, this is virus. The other aspect, that is where basically when I was talking about, right, that these antivirus companies keep on sharing the updates. These updates are nothing but these virus definitions, which, at least say my company basically sends it 4 times a day to all the customers, basically. So this is one type of it. For the slightly involved attacks, because again, it's a, I will say, infinite problem, to be very frank, as I was explaining that if the quantification, why it was not very straightforward, because there can be many variations, etc. And that is where it is not possible that every malicious file out there, might land up in your company to research first and foremost. So that is where a different level of defenses basically get structured in an antivirus software, not just the signature part of it. And that also includes understanding the behavior, how the particular software is doing, which we called it as a behavior analysis. So we observe that, and if we see that, okay, typically a software like this should not be, for example, accessing the Windows registry, but it is accessing. That means that it is potentially malware. And there are, I will say, more involved techniques, basically even to capture the zero-day attacks, or ATP or advanced transportation. These are mostly for the enterprises, where the malicious user has the gap in terms of your publicly shared machines or something. It is part of now your network. So they just lay there, understand that, what are the high value assets in the company. And unfortunately, if any of those high value assets, servers or something, have a very, I will say, weak password or not so robust infrastructure preparedness, where those high value softwares are in your company, then these attackers basically try to attack those, get that information, and this attack typically can go for months. So there are newer and newer solutions which are coming, like endpoint detection and response, which will help you to understand that if I correlate data across the machine, and it may not be only from one machine because the attack may not be visible from that angle, then the pattern looks fishy. So there are different ways of basically detecting signature. I think I have gone too detailed to the question what you have asked, but these are different defense mechanisms. Yeah.
We have a lot of follow-up questions, and I'm only asking the simple ones. All the others will ask the more difficult ones after me. So the 2 follow-up questions to what I just asked. The first one is that for you to do 4 releases in a day,
Hmm.
and because viruses occur in different parts of the world in different ways, because it's a question of who's doing it where and how it is spreading, you would necessarily need to keep a watch on everybody else. NAV, McAfee, Kaspersky. So you'll have teams looking at those guys as to what they release and looking at those signatures. Would you not be doing
No.
that? No.
No. So we don't basically look at the competitors to reduce the signature. Ultimately, like I said, it's the effectiveness of the software, our software. What we need to be really look at that what type of attacks are emerging and how effectively we are, dealing. For example, if I have to say that for every virus, I need to share a separate signature. I mean, I might be killing the bandwidth for the users, right? So
Right.
then the innovation happens that, okay, by just creating some generic pattern, how can I suddenly discover the family of the thing? So this is, I will say, a more indigenous research of a company. I don't think, looking at competitors ever is going to help you.
No, the reason I asked the question was that suppose you did miss a virus. You talked about AI, you talked about everything else. And it is possible that there's a new family of viruses which somebody else discovered.
Hmm.
So how do you get to know that this particular virus has come in? Because it's not possible that you all discover it together.
Correct.
Correct.
So typically what happens that our own customers also can submit the malicious file to our company. Because say for example, right now we are present on 8 million nodes. So that means that actually I have these many probes, very frankly speaking, in the wild. As you rightly said that there is a possibility that signature may not detect it, but that's where the overall effectiveness basically gets added by adding the technologies, as I said, behavior analysis, and then there are many more, which actually starts from very core, from say operating system to a application level or a software level. So it is a multi-defense, I will say, protection. So the total effectiveness is something which should be ideally looked at rather than just one aspect of security, like signature. And what will happen that, say for example, signature was not there, but the behavior analysis somehow found that the behavior is not right. If it is concluding that, okay, this is definitely malicious behavior, it will conclude it. But sometime again, from a research perspective, what it might happen, it might give a choice to user saying that, okay, as a software, we think that this is not right, but give your consent. And typically those files are something which again, with the user consent, get submitted to our own organization, and then those get researched. So this is more of a research rather than competitive. Like I said, it's the effectiveness of your entire technology.
Right. So I'll just leave it for other people, but
Sure.
after they finish, we'll come back to mutating viruses.
Sure.
Hot topic these days.
True, yes.
So I have
So I
several.
think Ramesh had some questions.
Yeah,
Sandeep
I have
had some.
actually 4 questions, but I'll ask one at a time. I'll take my turn. So my first question, which I was really surprised when you listed that the Google Map searching puts you at risk. And I didn't really understand that. I mean, how's that possible?
So again, I guess when I said that, what I meant is whenever basically we are accessing the link, whether it is morphed to be Google Map. I mean, of course, Google Map as an authentic site definitely does not have a risk. Otherwise, they may not be even operational at this moment of time. But like I said, that even the genuine bank, right? If a lookalike site is there, you might feel it's a genuine bank site. As I mentioned, that it is not possible to know the nitty-gritty. It's the morph site, basically, which might give you the same type of functionality, but they are basically hidden from there. Or for that matter, the way I said Arogya Setu, by looking at the app, you will say that, okay, there is an adware and actually app is doing exactly what it is supposed to do. So there is no breakage of functionality, but unfortunately that original functionality is included in something which is not original. I mean, that's really the morphed application. Thankfully, it is not malicious, that's a different story. But these are the morph links which might basically create the problem. So ultimately what I wanted to basically say that, any benign operation, what we think might turn risky if the sites are not genuine.
I think there's an add-on to that also, because when you use Google Maps, you tend to leave a location on,
Right.
and then other sites can start using it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ramesh, you had
Sandy had
3.
some-
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I was just looking at the chat, and Sandy had some questions, and Vasu had some questions.
Yeah. I guess the first one is related to whether Apple is better than Android because they have a tight control on the app. Again, I mean, as a iPhone store or iStore, definitely they are doing a good job, very compared to like Google Store. But we are seeing attacks on Mac system as well. So it's not like the malicious attacks are not there on the Mac system.
How about Linux? Do you come across a lot of virus attacks on Linux also, or Linux is relatively virus free?
So I think the amount of attacks, I mean, from the viruses perspective, again, virus is just one aspect of attacks, right? That is definitely lesser as compared to app. I will say Windows first, then Mac, and then Linux.
Okay.
But there are these other threats like data leak, your sensitive information, which is there because this has nothing to do with the operating system. Yeah, it's your usage basically.
Right.
And as a follow-up on that one, what about the Chrome operating system, the Chromebooks?
So Chromebook, again, the threat vector is very reduced because on the Chromebook, what you can do is really surfing, right?
Right.
So, but again, I tell you, there is, what we call is as drive-by download, in the sense you are accessing a site and inevitably something in the background is getting downloaded along with the legitimate response from that site. So this type of threat vectors are still on. So typically in the antivirus software, if you are having, you will have something like email protection or web security protection. So that means that whenever you are accessing the site, these type of indirect malicious content is getting downloaded, or you are basically trying to go to a site which is not a legitimate site, as what we were saying. These threat vectors are still applicable for Chrome operating system.
So I have a follow-up question on this. Now,
Yeah.
I saw a presentation sometime back where this guy, I think he was from Google, in fact, in an audience at random, managed to hack somebody's phone from his phone in public, right? And this is without doing anything else. So is it possible to thrust malware down into your phone? How can somebody hack your phone at that?
So like
He
I
did
said,
it in public.
Public really won't matter. Ultimately, it has to have some gateway open on the mobile.
So there is either Bluetooth open or there is.
Correct. So somewhere some mechanism to interact with. In fact, the way I gave you the torrent site example, right? Of course, that was more from the medium by which you say share games or something. But if the mechanism or some sort of door is open to basically get embedded in your mobile, then it is obviously possible.
So if I have Bluetooth open, somebody can hack in.
What I will say that again, if the automatic download is possible, on the mobile, ultimately you need to give a consent, right? Whether to basically download the file or not. So from that angle, if that kind of mechanism is not there, then it is possible. Or the software is already there in a dormant state, and then basically, it is getting embedded. But like I said, in this particular case, we will really need to see what mechanism they must have used.
Okay, I will dig up that presentation again.
Sure.
It was very interesting. So it was, I think, on TED Talks, in fact.
What's happening with the Jan fellow? The Jan fellow keeps doing this all the time. He goes into a talk and then he hacks somebody's phone and then shows that on the big screen. Yeah.
It's quite dangerous to attend TED Talks, is it? You never know what from your phone is going to get shown up on the big screen. All right, I think there are some more questions. I think Abha has some.
I think Arogya Setu wanting us to have a leave location on. So like I said, that if, for example, I'll take example of Arogya Setu. Obviously, the whole intent of the application is, if you are in these days going in public, you need to know the sensitivity around you. So in that case, having the location on is legitimate, needed. Like I was saying that, using GPS for that matter. But for most of the time, unfortunately, we are not out. So are we basically mindful not to have the location on at that time, when we are not using Arogya Setu? Intended, usage is there. It will always be there. I'm not saying that location should never get turned on. But like I said, that if the intended usage is not something which requires location to be on, then that is something which should be off.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if we turn it on for that app, then we are open for everybody else at all times, right?
Correct, for that duration.
Okay, it's not like, yeah. So do you recommend that when we are not out in the public, we switch it off at home? Will I lose then the information as to who else is affected around me and all those things?
No, so like I said that again the duration is important, because like I said that if you are actively going to use the app which requires location on, having a location on at that time, it's absolutely genuine and fine. What precaution otherwise you need to take is, for example, you are out and again just an example that you are in a location which basically provides you a free Wi-Fi for that matter. Then these are the additional, I will say, ways by which you can get infected. So for example, if you connect to a free Wi-Fi while roaming, Arogya Setu is on, location is on, actually the threat can basically get perceived from that medium, in the sense weak Wi-Fi or a free Wi-Fi. And then, I mean, if the malicious program is on your cell, then it can basically do whatever it is intended to do. So per se, just location on is not going to basically, completely solve the problem. Like I said, I mean, as I had given the guidelines, where you are correcting and what you are doing definitely might add to it.
But suppose you're not using that, you're using your own phone's data when you're out there in the public. Then?
So again, I mean, by using your own data, and if you are downloading something which is, say, not on Google Store or iStore, some free app, then again, those are the threat vectors basically, right? By which the malicious software basically can penetrate into your system, either on the mobile or somewhere else. So that's where I'm saying that,
just to add to Arogya Setu, it requires the Bluetooth to be switched on permanently, 24/7, because that's how it keeps in track the location of you as well as somebody else who's affected and in what vicinity. Of course, it gives additional information based on the data inputted on the server as to who else in your locality is infected or not.
Yeah.
But the location-wise, your Bluetooth is supposed to be kept switched on all the time.
So again, like I said, that it's a very intended use where you are aware that, you have this on, because, for example, you are going to a locality in this situation where you don't know the sensitivity. If you are just going around your home and you understand basically what is the situation in terms of whether it's a containment zone, red zone, or green zone, because you live there, you know the neighborhood, these is the mindful decisions basically will need to take. I mean, I'll give you different example, not really related to Arogya Setu or something. I think 1.5 years back, there were these advertisements going on that, if you upload the Aadhaar information, they will give you a laminated card, because Aadhaar card by itself comes on a very flimsy paper. And so many people basically, I mean, they were costing some 30-50 rupees or something, and so many people uploaded that information. They received the laminated card. But I mean, first and foremost, when you had to go through a lot of other things, while getting the card, having something like itself is a fishy. And as a common user, people would have thought about it. Ultimately, what happened that there were around 500 sites which cyber police attacked, and they basically grabbed all the database having this sensitive information, because they were not legitimate sites. Ultimately, what was their purpose, how they were supposed to use this information, that we don't know. And fortunately, I don't think any of that thing happened before all those sites were confiscated. But this is I mean, what I'm saying, that the mindfulness what all of us should apply. Basically, just an example.
So just this question on this then. Most of us in this group, we travel.
Yeah.
We check into hotels.
Correct.
we use the hotel Wi-Fi. That's dangerous.
Hotel Wi-Fi typically, because it's secured, right? Our home router as well. And again, it is equally important to even forget about the hotels, that many of us basically, when we have taken the broadband or something, typically that provider people came on, I mean, say bag engineers. and have they really configured the router to have the strong password? Because there is an option, when you are configuring that. So that means whether you are required to give the password. So typically, if the I will say network is secure, or the right how should I say, precautions has been taken. For hotels and all, I think the primary security is always there. But what I always, at least I follow is, for example, if you are traveling, try to see that if you are getting rid of the sensitive information out of your phone or laptop while traveling, if it is not really needed to be used in the on the travel, basically.
So you're saying that carry two phones, one which has
Or just
your
clean up
sensitive.
the stuff. Like for example, I'm going on a very personal trip, right? For month or so. I think I don't require sensitive information like Aadhaar or PAN or whatever, basically, which was there when I was back at home. So typically, if I clean up that, go back, and then when I resume back home, that's a different story.
No,
But,
actually, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
If I'm traveling and I go on vacation for a month, I have to pay my phone bills, I have to pay my electricity bills, I have to do all this online.
But that's your net banking. And the net
Sorry?
banking, net banking software typically will have the security to basically contact the website in the encrypted fashion. So for example, your bank app will have that security that you are using it. Like I said, if it is on the open Wi-Fi, unfortunately, even the bank is existing, somebody will be able to do man in the middle type of attack.
But I think what's
Okay, my question.
is that I still will keep that information on my laptop. When I go on vacation, I cannot delete everything, all that information, because I need that for paying bills and keeping in touch with the bank, connecting to the bank and everything. So if I go on vacation for a long time, I cannot clean up my laptop just for the vacation.
So for that, I'll give you an example. I mean, the Quick Heal, for example, the retail product, right? It gives you mechanisms to securely store your information on your own laptop. Again, not everything on our device is sensitive, that's for sure, right? But as all of you are saying that there are some there is some piece of information which we cannot go away with. And then these softwares basically can give you a wall type of location, which is a solid encrypted way or a space which is created on your own disk, which the malware will not be able to penetrate on. So then make sure that that information is there in the vault as against being open on the other location on the disk. So there are mechanisms. I mean, I'm not saying that every time all or none type of option will work. But these softwares, I mean, definitely this was something which last year I think we released, and it is something which will be useful in this situation.
So as a follow-up example, I can be in a public free Wi-Fi area, but I connected through the VPN of my university, for example, where I teach. So that should be okay, but I'm worried about the time when I'm connecting from free Wi-Fi to my VPN. My sensitive information of that connection may be stolen, correct?
Correct, yeah. But that's the time duration basically. Once you log in into VPN, then obviously it's a secure channel.
My question is regarding the permission that is sought before downloading every app. Now the permissions are as ridiculous as you are giving permission to let the app or the platform access all your media files, all your contacts, all your photographs, and all your messages, and the permission to modify or delete them, as well as permission to access all your contacts and even to contact them personally. Now, this kind of permission is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it is there for almost every app, even in this Zoom app, while registering or before this thing, it seeks this permission to, just modify and get access to all the media files and all the messages. So how does one survive? In Jio, Reliance Jio, the kind of permissions that need to be given is including it to switch on and switch off your camera.
So, like I said, I mean, if it is a genuine app and that is something which we cannot do away with, I don't think, denying the permission basically will give you access to install the application. So that stays. But the software what I was talking about might also help you to understand that whether, any sensitive data is getting leaked out of your device. So that type of additional awareness this software can give you. Antivirus software, I mean to say. But I understand.
Before we come to the software part, the first thing is why do these people need these permissions and want to access your media files and your contacts?
So typically, for example, say vendors like Jio or something, right? Ultimately, everybody is after data and the usage patterns because that's how they will basically shape the content. They will understand, as we are saying telemetry, for example, that in this particular location, these type of, I'll just give an example, media files are this thing, or people are interested in doing things, or a particular person is interested in shopping, for example, mobiles and something. So, it will help them to basically give the relevant ads that will mobilize their business. At the same time, there is a monetization.
At the cost of the consumer's privacy, and there is no law protecting it globally.
No, that's what I'm saying, because when you are basically giving the permission as a user, you are telling them to go ahead.
No, I think I want to just interrupt here for a moment, Vasu, because you're getting into a domain in which we work, and I think it's very interesting. See, the point is, when a person comes to you and says, I want to have access to the contents of your wallet, what do you say? You say, go to hell. However, when you go to the banker and the banker says that, I need access to this information, you sign a form and you give it. Now here, today, Google, Apple, etc., when you go on a software, on an app, which you put on the Play Store or the Apple Store, if I develop an app and I put it there and I'm asking for 3 permissions that I don't require, believe me, in 2 days, Google kicks me out. He says, you cannot ask for this permission. So they're taking care of that particular portion of it. After that, I think we have to be sensitized to be able to actually not give permission where we think we shouldn't give it. Because I think that's what's very important. I mean, we have an artist gives us entire portfolio to in some guy's hand that look at what drawings I've made. That's a physical thing. Similarly, out here, you're giving access to media files. So I think we're just being careful about it, because right now what we say is asking too many questions. Say yes, 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 yes. Chal jayega yaar. I think.
No, it's actually a bit more dangerous than that. Have you read this book called The Mathematics of Decision Making?
Not me.
So it's very interesting that Target, this is America, Target, from somebody's online ordering, figured out that she was pregnant and started sending her baby information.
Okay.
Unfortunately, her father didn't know about it. Okay, but this is what artificial intelligence can do. But just by searching on what you were doing, Target, the superstores Target, right? They figured out that this girl was pregnant and started sending her information on baby things.
So, question: how did that information get to her father?
Because this. Good question. Let me read the book again. I'll check up the book again. I have it sitting upstairs.
Yeah. So the leakage is elsewhere. The leakage is not with this.
Oh no, it came in the regular mail, and the father gets the mail at home, and brings.
Yeah, something like that probably.
Why is this coming to my daughter?
So Sanjay Sangal and Netra, one question about this permissions needed by the apps are, from the app perspective, the permission which you grant or which you do not grant, is that only discretionary, or it actually prevents that app from accessing it? Meaning thereby, supposing if I don't give a permission to an app to access my contacts, can the app still access it?
It prevents.
Some of
I mean,
the
operating
apps do
system is
restrict
preventing.
access to the app also.
Sorry?
And some of the apps do restrict the access to the app without the permissions. And
Yeah, you can't use the app.
No. That not using the app is a different thing. What I'm saying is that if I don't give a particular permission to an app and that app is okay with it, can that app still access my contacts?
No.
So, which means whether the permissions are just discretionary or are they enforced by the OS?
They are enforced by OS, and they are enforced. I mean, forget about the OS part of it, but even when you are uploading, enforced like Google when basically you are uploading to Google Store, right? They also check that whether you are really using the permissions and then doing the operation. Of course, at some level, they cannot basically.
They
check
cannot do
everything.
everything because a lot of it could be dynamic. It doesn't have to be a static reference to all of them.
Frankly, Google's learned the hard way. They've been seeing how Apple has been working. For example, once upon a time, Google allowed anybody to put the location on and off. You can't do it anymore. You can put it off, you can't put it on. It'll ask you every time. So there are various things which have been happening in Google and they've improved over time. So they have
Even
not reached.
Android policies are getting more and more stricter.
Correct.
Like, without user consent, what all automatic operation. And of course, these things were used for legitimate things as well as a ease of use. But Google, as you're saying, is making those policies so stricter that, while uploading itself, they will not allow you to upload that.
Yeah, but they have a long way to go because they have a lot of issues with the security on the device itself. But
It's an ongoing field.
yeah, but Sandeep, your iPhone is very interesting. On Apple Store, we made an app for Habitat for Humanity India, and it checked them out saying that the same thing is working in Chicago. So they went black and blue and red saying that, guys, we're the same organization. They said, we don't care. So I told them, tell them कि you're Apple India or Apple US and the same app exists in Apple New Zealand. They said, no, that we don't agree. So yeah, anyway.
But actually, Apple is pretty good. I mean, they very subtly shove this TFA down your throat, two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And you only have 2 weeks to turn it off. After 2 weeks, you can't turn it off anymore. So I refused to have to do TFA. So they turned it on for me. I turned it off immediately. But if you miss it by a factor of 2 weeks, you cannot turn it off anymore.
And Sandeep, why would you not have two-factor authentication? Isn't that safer?
Yes and no. I don't want it.
It's a pain.
It's a pain.
No,
It's a real pain.
Okay.
It's a real pain.
So if I can ask you one more question, this is my last question. That's what I promise. I will not ask any more. I'll be quiet. So you talked about ransomware and the threat of ransomware. If you keep your data on, say, Google Drive or what is it, Box, or whatever, somewhere on the cloud, does that make you safer?
Yeah. Only thing is what you need to be really sure about whether your data is secure at Google Cloud in terms of it's not encrypted by default.
And
Right? Again, what type of data? So if it is, how should I put it, something which may not have, a lot of high value type of thing, because that data is accessible to somebody on the back end. So if I'm now, uploading something out of my machine, ideally I want it to be encrypted so that no third person, once the data leaves from my machine is able to. From ransomware perspective, yes. In fact, our software was some I will say the only software, which was taking implicit backup of the sensitive file, because we do understand what, typical sensitive files might be, because we do have products like data leak prevention, etc. So we used to take that implicit backup. The backup used to be encrypted so that even if the ransomware encrypts, unfortunately, entire disk, people typically come to us and we help them to basically secure what was getting backed up. Obviously, there is some implicit configuration, and as a user, basically, you can also say that, okay, for me, this is sensitive. Even, by default, it may not be sensitive. So that type of basically facility is there, for example, in our software, which also ultimately helps you to recover the data.
So I'll just give one quick example as on this one. So what happened is one of my colleagues, he put all his pictures and everything, and his machine got infected, and he was asked, I think $500 or $750, whatever, some amount, and he refused to pay. But then he realized that he cannot access any of his pictures, and fortunately, he had only one place where he had put his wedding pictures. He was at the verge of divorce because his wife was really mad, and get me all those pictures back. And I think then what happened is the ransomware increased its price. He was willing to pay. He was very rarely said, okay, I'll pay $750. And they said, no, the price has gone up to $1,000. some amount,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And but if he had kept the copies on Google, he would have been safer, right? As a back.
Google, or for that matter, external hard disk, right? Simplistic.
Yeah, external.
Yeah, or right. I mean, if it is really, I will say financial stuff like that, you can also write on a DVD because it is not writable once you write it. So these are different mechanisms, like I said, you know, where of course the assumption is your external drive is not constantly put or connected to your laptop, because otherwise it's just the extension of your laptop. So again, these are some of the, I will say, mindful or disciplinary thing if we do. Then unfortunately, even if the attack happens, the data will not be lost.
Yeah.
I guess we covered all the questions.
Yes, the basic ones. For the next slot, we can definitely connect with you again, because, and I'll speak to Anirudh about that. So if nobody else has a question, we can. Anirudh, would you like to do the honors? Yeah.
I'd like to say
Yeah.
thank you to Netra first.
Yeah. So thanks, Netra. Thanks from all of us. It's been a very wonderful and illuminating session. I'm sure many of these things in parts, seeing all of them put together in one place and emphasizing on certain specific things has really been helpful. I'm sure everyone enjoyed this thing too. So I'll just.
Well, we went 25 minutes over, Netra, and that's only because of the fact that we actually thought that we'll give you a chance to get away from us. Otherwise, it's been very interesting, very nice, and it's been very positive. And I think you've tried to answer even some of our ridiculous questions rather well. So thank you so much for that.
No question is a wrong question, by the way. No question is a wrong question. And thank you so much. I guess I had a fun time. The best part is, when people ask questions, that means that at least whatever the content was supposed to be delivered, it is delivered. And really hope that, of course, these were very basic tips, but it will help. And internally, you share with your families as well, because nowadays everybody is online.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Netra. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So are we keeping the meeting going, or are we keeping it going, or are we also all hanging up?
Well, we can chat for a few minutes.
Well, I joined in a bit late, so I'm around. But there's the next one coming up, so as people feel.
Oh, Rajesh, long time, a long time.
Yeah. I also joined in a bit late, so I didn't want to interrupt. But I heard her nicely. I'm here, so if people want to carry on, it's okay. If we want to wrap up, it's about an hour now.
Someone singing?
Someone singing? That's incentive, Raji. Someone has to face the music as well.
Right. Yeah, we are ready to.
Yeah. Good. How are you, all of you? I missed a few sessions past couple of weeks, I think. I hope all is well. India is going through troubled times, and so is US. Dubai is a safe place. Dubai seems to be still a safer place. But we are all, please keep healthy, please keep safe, all of you.
Dubai has lifted the lockdown?
Yeah, they lifted the lockdown. So it locks down at 11 o'clock in the night.
Okay.
And it is locked till about 6 o'clock in the morning. They've got some guidelines of operating all work, whether it's industrial or office working. I think the difference is that this whole community is recognizing those guidelines and people are actually following them. The population is like that. There's a mix. Of course, the population has also fallen. A lot of expatriate population has left the country.
Mm-hmm.
That is also true. And there are enough research work, you will find papers which are saying that because of the economic slowdown, a lot of people have left. They've gone back to wherever they came from. But whoever is left, they are following disciplines. So hopefully that will keep matters regulated. In other countries where the disciplines are, I mean, you can enforce discipline to some extent. You can, but then it's a habit. After that, it has to be a habit. So we are hoping that. So for Ratna and I, for the past week, just this week, last week, we actually engaged meeting people socially. So we went to somebody's house for the first time, and it was a good feeling. Definitely a good feeling after 10, 11 weeks of sitting at home. It's a good thing, but be careful. Be careful.
Yeah,
India doesn't sound so good. India is not looking good at this moment, and I'm concerned about all my friends and family. They're all in different cities, in Delhi, in Bombay, and even smaller towns like Jaipur. They're not looking good. They're not looking good.
Yeah, people are a bit casual. In fact, Sanjeev has been moving around, but I moved out today to Delhi from Gurgaon, and I went for a meeting in Saket, and half the janta on the streets was not wearing masks.
Wow.
The other half was, kind of taking it off and on. There was a lot of people who were fairly close together, and I don't think that they lived together, which means that the chances of there's a challenge.
So there's a friend of mine who has got stuck in Gurgaon. He lives in Dubai, but he moved to India just before, and he's staying there. And last week, when I spoke to him on the weekend on Saturday, he was playing tennis. Okay. This week, when I called him, he says it's locked down again. The clubs are closed. So maybe there are some people who have opened up and then closed down again, because I don't know how Gurgaon is faring, but
Gurgaon is doing very badly. In fact, for the first time I've heard this, because our sector was supposed to be quite nice. Just now we've got a note that the lane behind our house has been closed. Behind our house means half a kilometer away, but still it's scary.
So big house, huh?
So take care.
Aja dikhata hu.
Rajiv is stuck in the same room for months. Looks like, when does he get back to California?
8 more days, yeah, 8 more days.
You were saying about going to other people's home. I am planning to go to my home.
Yeah. You've been waiting for that, yeah.
So, Rajiv, you finally managed to get a seat on some flight?
Me?
Yes, I did.
Rajiv.
Okay.
You did?
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got empty seats? Have you got empty seats in between?
At least I am told there are empty seats, because when they were showing the seating arrangement, the middle seats were all crossed out, so you couldn't select them.
Yeah, but I'm a bit surprised. I mean, international flights they might be following, but on the domestic flights there is nothing like that. There is no middle seat being kept vacant and all. All the 3 seats are. I mean, all the 6 seats, 3+3 or whatever it is, they're occupied.
Are you serious? Really?
No, so it is not only international flights or domestic.
On the domestic flights, there is nothing like middle seat being kept vacant.
No. So let me tell you something. A friend of mine, he came by the similar flight, and he came from Muscat. His flight, inward flight there were no empty seats. But I think the flights which are going out, they have less passengers, so they are allowing middle seats to be blocked. But the same flight, when it comes back, it comes all full.
You see, because I think when they opened up the domestic flights, the logic they gave was that even if we keep the middle seat vacant, it is not actually conforming to the requirements of social distancing. I mean, so what's the point, So, I mean, let it be. And, they said as it is, we are going to be operating about 33%, 1/3 of the flights and all. So the economics will not work out,
Airlines have trouble. So are the fares gone up? Are they charging more?
They've kept it. They've kept a band. As far as domestic flights are concerned, they kept a band for every sector. So minimum, maximum. And they've said 40% of the seats have to be at so-and-so price. So rest is left to the airlines, whatever they want to charge, but they're going to charge within a certain band.
Damn.
I mean, the airline is going to be the worst affected industry. People like EasyJet and all going after Priti Patel in UK. So there is no way. So people will fly. Of course, you want to fly and you have to get somewhere, but there is no getting away from it. There is no getting away from it. HEPA filters or not.
Hotels.
So is the case with hotels. Hotels also.
Event managers, they're dead.
Yeah. Oh, nothing.
Nothing. I mean, I keep thinking about my poor chappy. Like I mentioned last time, who paints my house here. क्या करेगा वो? कौन अपने घर को पेंट करा रहा है भाई?
Yeah. See, these are the areas people will be very cautious about, and they'll keep postponing that till the time they are very sure about, of something being worked out.
रमेश सोनी is thinking ये क्या weird लोग हैं, पेंट कराने बाहर से बुलाते हैं, मैं तो खुद ही करता हूँ.
Unfortunately, that is also beyond my skill level.
But that's a skill. That's a skill you can pick up very easily, Ramesh.
Yeah, like it's a big mess. It's amazing when you see.
So cleaning up is not your skill. Cleaning up is not your skill.
Even you wouldn't believe when they come and the trim के बगल में paint करते हैं. बगल में वो ऐसा paint करते हैं कि अगर आप tape लगाओ ये लगाओ उसकी जरूरत ही नहीं है. They just do it so nicely. I just can't do that kind of work. No. I mean they have the skill, amazing skill.
So when I put the tape, tape is the other thing that I have to clean other than the rest of the things. So
right.
Well, guys.
So this is amazing. Actually, even I started. I have to admit, I started socializing, but all have been totally disconnected. So, for example, after I did visit my daughter and son-in-law last week, but they were completely isolated, and we were completely isolated. I just got on the car for 4 hours, met.
So we were good. We were good yesterday. We, in fact, Ram has not been joining this. You guys remember Ram Ranjan Srivastava?
Ram Ranjan Srivastava, right?
So Ram is here in Dubai. So we were at Ram's place last evening, and we spent almost three hours, and we were all good, 5-6 of us, keeping enough distance. But you eat together, and if you're all right, you're all right. You've not had a history of 14-day of any kind of symptom. You do. Ram is actually going to play, like some other people are playing tennis. People are playing games, sports of some kind or the other. They've started. But it's a good feeling. So especially in California, anybody in California, the weather is nice. You have to step out. You can walk.
But California has also started opening up very recently. And maybe now people will start socializing because the schools are on, although online, but officially the schools have started their vacation only this week now.
Okay.
So maybe maybe now they'll start socializing or whatever.
So by and large, US numbers are on the decline. By and large, except certain places. So I know Illinois is going down in their numbers, but my son lives in a smaller town called Peoria. Those numbers are still climbing up.
So
there'll be pockets.
US it is shifting. So now the states which were low earlier, like Florida, is going up, or California relatively was much lower. Now California is going up too. So
Arizona is really bad. Arizona at this point is really bad because they opened up. Actually, I was supposed to be in Arizona yesterday, and I've not seen my other daughter who just finished her master's. And the issue is that you look at Arizona, they opened up and nobody's caring about social distancing, and the number of cases are on the rise at this point.
Yep.
I canceled my ticket the day before yesterday. Otherwise, I was just going to go there for a week.
Yeah.
Not seen her for 6 months. Almost.
Has New York started opening up?
New York has started opening up. In fact, my nephew and nephew's wife, they both live in New Jersey, but they both work in New York, and they got a message from their companies that they are going to be starting on Monday, starting day after tomorrow.
Okay.
And there'll be alternate days. There'll be actually my nephew, or actually he's my wife's nephew. He is going to be. His company is still kind of, he can work from home because the kind of things he does, he can do it from home. And the company down many other buildings that they own. It's a big construction company. And his wife's company is telling him to go every alternate day, So they're opening up starting Monday. And they have controlled the number of cases. And we are opening up in my town. Slowly, everything is going to be,
Well, thank you, Anirudh. He's leaving. He's leaving. Thank you for organizing that, Anirudh. Yeah.
Thanks, Anirudh.
Thanks, Anirudh. Right.
I think This was fun. We should
Thanks, Anirudh.
Something?
No, I was just saying, Anirudh, that this was great, and we probably should do some other kinds of speakers or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that I mean I'm sure a lot of us, I think Sanjay Sangal also would know a lot of people who can
Yeah.
speak on some topics of common interest.
I'm doing that for my own company's knowledge, systems. So every
Okay.
Saturday we have speakers coming in, and that's why I wanted to have Netra on for some
okay.
Saturday.
Okay. Excellent.
So if
So
you can
you have
actually,
any other people whom you have, used in your company meeting?
so the people we have already used, I can check with them,
Yeah, that's
and what would be relevant, because the
Right.
people, the ones who apply to both us and the company, so we
Right.
can get one of them on.
correct.
Right.
Yep.
That would be great. Okay, guys, you guys carry on. Bye. I'm sorry I had to leave a bit early.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Sanjay, you can send me the recording.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the recording and then I'll send you a link on YouTube.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
To all of us.
मैं तो सबको ही भेजता हूँ यार.
Thank you.
Uh,
You are the one. Yeah.
yeah, ठीक है boss.
All right.
Oh, thank
Catch
you.
up.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Be safe.
Chalo, okay.
Take care.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye. Okay, bye bye.
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 Bye.